This week's episode is sponsored by the 2025 Buffalo Stampede Festival by Single Track Events. Find your epic and run with nature. Sign up at www.buffalostampede.au.
Being a skin can bring you so much pain. Now I hear you say you got the best of both ways. Won't you come and take a walk in my shoes and tell me if you take my place?
Welcome to episode number 384 of the Inside Running Podcast. A massive thanks for being with us for another week. We've got a big show coming at you this week. Main news item is Nagoya Marathon, which happened yesterday. We've got the Box Hill Burn to talk about, New South Wales Milers Club, some quick 800 metres over there. South Australia held their state championships. Some whispers, Moose on the Loose, listener question. All the things that you expect on this podcast each and every week. Welcome, my co-host. He's down in Anglesea wearing his Brooklyn Nets jersey. Julian Spence, how are you this week?
Pretty good. Good week of running. Just got back from the beach. It's hot down here. Worked today on a public holiday. It was busy, so there's nothing better than getting home and going down the beach. Mid-tide, quiet. Everyone's gone back to Melbourne. Just some days you just thank whoever it is that allowed you to be down in this part of the world. Today was one of them.
What time did you clock off?
About store shut at 3. I did some book work until about 4. Got down the beach, 4:45. Stayed down there for an hour and a bit. Pretty nice. Weather, like the water's still warm. It was super clear because there hasn't been much wind or swell lately. So just idyllic stuff.
Yeah, that's good. I wasn't expecting you to say you clocked off that late. So that's good. Work and public holiday for you. And we do, we record on Monday nights, and it feels like there's so many public holidays fall on a Monday.
I know. Well, they do, don't they?
So many times you're like, I just want to get on the beers and do something. You're like, oh, I've got to do the podcast tonight. But that's how it happens. Yeah. We're here for the listeners.
Yeah. Well, small business, you can't, you know how much it costs for a staff on a public holiday is like one of you guys working on a Wednesday.
Yeah, don't know about that. Imagine if we had public holiday rates for fill-in podcast hosts. That's why we haven't got Toby or Chris or someone here tonight. It'd be too expensive for us. Welcome, our other co-host. He's up in Canberra. Had some technical difficulties with his computer and Skype, which they are shutting down in the next couple of weeks, boys. So we need a new recording platform. Bradley Croker, the 217 man. How are you?
I'm good now, Brady. He's a little bit flustered. Jumped on 5 minutes before we were meant to record, and it said, yeah, your Skype's outdated, couldn't update it, couldn't download it. So I'm on Viv's computer, but accessing my computer for the agenda and Strava. So when does Skype end? Is it May?
Yeah, well, Moose and I were talking about that, and we actually never looked at the date. So we need to sort that out before we do go to log on one Monday night and it's completely shut down. It's going to be sad though, isn't it? We've done every episode on Skype. Most of our guests that we get on haven't used Skype for 10 years and we have to get them to fire up their accounts again, but I love it. I'm a real OG kind of guy.
I reckon we can do better here.
I think there's some guests that have about 3 or 4 Skype logins because they forget what it was last time they came on Inside Running, so they just start up a new one.
Yeah. But that's what I always say to them. I say, we've been going that long with this podcast that we started when Skype was the main one. Zoom wasn't a thing, Riverside, StreamYard, whatever the other ones are, we just roll with Skype.
Wasn't there some meme going around that LeBron James's career outlasted Skype or something? He started before and... Yeah,
I love that. But here we are, hot up your way too, Croaks.
Not too bad. We're about to have another hot streak. So the last few days have been high 20s, but the rest of the week's mid 30s again. So I am looking forward to that. I know we always talk about it, that period when the the weather definitely changes, and it's like the mornings are crisp, the tops are like 20 degrees, there's no wind. Hang in there, boys. I reckon it's about 4 weeks away.
Oh, it's got to be coming. I did some numbers today. It was 34 out of the last 39 days have been over 35 degrees here. It just feels like it came late and it just has not dropped. And it still looks like this week's going to be like 35 plus until I think Sunday morning. I was looking at it because I want to do a marathon workout and it's 25 degrees at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Think of the fitness gains.
I know,
when the weather changes, that's when you're like, oh man, I'm actually fitter than I thought I was. And it's the trap that we don't probably fall into it too much, but like so many people that I coach just get so disheartened with how they're running over summer. And it's just like, dude, like you can't expect to be running like as fast in 30 plus degrees as you would in 10. Like it's a period where your, I guess, true shape is not really reflected in training and often racing, depending on what races you're doing. So just be patient, hang in there. Once autumn rolls around, or true autumn, you'll reap the benefits.
Yeah, and stay out of putting yourself in the hole. Like you don't want it to get to autumn and you're so fatigued because you're just flogging yourself all summer that you actually can't benefit from it.
That's those long sessions where the heat has more of an effect. Like that, they're the ones that the heat, like they'll fuck you up with, where you'll really bury yourself. You can do speed work in the heat, I reckon, and pull up okay from it. It's the long stuff, the long drawn out stuff.
Yeah. But even the speed work moves, it's like you go to the track in the afternoon, you finish that, and then that really screws with your sleep that night because you're just so hot.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, let's talk about some training weeks, hey? Moose, you're going first.
Oh, cool. Did I run more than Croaks this week?
No, Croaks is back, baby. He's back. He's 2 hour long runs. He's doing track workouts. This like Achilles has come good.
Strava is stitching me up like you. You had your rant about it, but I'm not seeing much of Croaks pop up.
Yeah, it happens, doesn't it? Happens.
Yeah.
And thanks to the people who do send me a screenshot saying this is how you put it in like timeline order, it still doesn't work for me. I actually got the alert today that my credit card had expired on Strava and I have to like re-put it in. And I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? I might not be resubmitting my credit card details to pay for this service.
It's going for a free one here, Croaks.
But then I did think I'd probably spend 3 hours on the app every single day. So I'm like, they probably deserve a few bucks.
Is it worth it? It's worth it. It is an app that I use a lot.
Can you see gap pace if you don't pay for it, Croaks?
No.
Okay, so that was one of the things I'm like, I do enjoy gap pace. I don't care about leaderboards or segments or any of that stuff, but gap pace
Gap is good.
may get me over the line.
Although I'm not sure how relevant it is for you because you like run no hills whatsoever.
500 metres yesterday, mate. 500 metres yesterday. Me and Andy Buchanan. Breakaway yesterday, actually. Me and him, the King, the Australian Marathon record holder and a 2-time Stall Sash winner off the front of the pack.
Really? I heard... I actually spoke to someone who trains with us a little bit, and he said those boys, bunch of pussies up there. They got nothing on the Surf Coast Track Club.
Yeah, that we don't overtrain on Sunday and all end up injured. Was that what it was?
It was more like take the soft route, whatever it is, on the hills, like bumble away. There's just no real alpha up there. It's like a pack of beaters.
Yeah, I don't think I will agree with that. There is we should have an alpha like in Andy, but he's just one of the crew. No one gets competitive. No one tries to drop anyone. I just did say we did break away, but it was just a natural breakaway. And then that's what happens.
Natural breakaway, hey?
Maybe this is your problem, Moose. Every time that you sort of get semi-fit again, you try and be the alpha, and then you cook yourself on these long runs, and then you get injured again.
Save alpha to race day.
So some young kid comes over from the US, and you need to show him who's boss, and that kid's still running, and you've been on the scrap heap for the last 6 months.
Yeah, but I smacked him up, though, didn't I? Smacked him up that day. Beers tasted good that night back then.
Talking about it 6 months later.
That's right. You remember, don't you? You remember who was the alpha that day? Anyway, I got out on Monday. I did some surges, I believe, which was nice. Ticked the legs over a little bit. 10K. Next day, 7.5, just cruising. The kinder drop-off on the Wednesdays for me. Got Wednesdays off, so drop-off pier, 9 a.m. start time. We always go about an hour early, find somewhere for her to have a yogurt, like at a lookout around town on the bike. That's what that photo is. It's a nice morning, so we pulled up at a little lookout halfway between Anglesey and Road Night. This is, you ran past this in your race here, Brady, that photo. It was hot as all fuck. I had a meeting after the drop-off in Torquay, so I thought I'll run over there. Now, this is an absolute stitch-up. 26 degrees. I'm not having this.
You're with me, aren't you? They've lost the plot.
This was mid-30s. This was hot as. You'll be able to tell from my heart rate how hot it was, because it was already like 140 when I got out of the car. Nasty. And they shut a trail. So I ended up having to like run along this sandy, gross trail to start with. And by that stage, it was hot. My heart rate was up. I was going up hills. I didn't realize I was going up. And yeah, this was a tough run for me. Average heart rate, 159 beats for an easy run. Normally I'm like running 135 beats when I'm going okay. And that's a decent clip too. I ran out to Bells, so it's pretty much like an uphill kind of trend. Although when you look at the map, it's not that uphill. The heat was out though. The sun was out. Sort of a headwind out. Had trouble keeping my heart rate down. Got to Bells, had a little break just to try to compose myself. Started jogging back. Wind sort of changed, got way more of a tailwind, but didn't help the heart rate much. Had a little break at one point just to, we'll call it, allow me to get up a hill without entering stupid levels of heart rate. So I got up to the middle of the hill and I'm like, if I keep jogging, my heart will get to close to my maximum. And I don't think that's a good thing right now. So I'm going to fully tuck the ego into my back pocket here, and I'm just going to have a little rest. And then I waited for my heart rate to go down like a tiny bit and kept jogging. And I thought, oh boy, this is a bad sign for your fitness when you're having to take walk breaks through a run. But it was hot. I was so hot. It was my longest run that I'd done in a very long time as well. So it was 12K. So that was 56 minutes. Not running for that long. 12K felt like 32K. Like I was honestly cooked by the end of it. But I felt good. No injuries, no niggles. Everything was fine. It was just my heart was doing lots. The title says heart says fartlek, muscles say jog. That doesn't mean that I wanted to do a fartlek. It means that my heart, my effort level was a workout. The pace was a jog. Anyway.
You get, explain to me, do you then get the benefits you would from, as you usually would from a workout, from doing that?
Yeah, fit,
yeah.
Pretty much. But you don't get the mechanical stress. Like you don't get the pace, like the muscular rhythm and conditioning you would from doing a workout.
So I'm sure that Ali's got this in the program, that you just need to be doing this stuff. You don't need to rush into workouts.
Well, this was an exception, I think, given the heat.
Okay.
I've run, I ran on Sunday morning, I ran 14K just as fast as this with more climbing, and my heart rate was 144. So it was, it was a bit of an anomaly.
Factors.
But that I was thinking about that through the run, and I would equate it to kind of like how people use cross training or heat training or altitude training to a degree, where they run a lot slower but their heart rate might be higher. Or you jump on an elliptical, and most people don't get on an elliptical and just cruise at like an easy rate heart rate. They get on and they punch out a little workout because they can do that and get those benefits without the risk of injury. So it was good for me.
Yeah.
I think if I was recovering the day up, like if I had a workout on the Tuesday that I was trying to recover from, not good for me. But when every day is a jog, this is actually fine. And my volume's only 60K a week. It was actually fine.
It's funny you say that because we had this guy on the monthly call in Giordano, and he was saying about he thinks the next trend is people smack workouts on the Ultra Gs to just do big 30K tempo runs but not have the pounding. So like in that 8 weeks leading into a marathon, you might be able to do 12 of those instead of 6 of those.
What do you mean you had someone call in?
Yeah, this random guy called in.
What do you mean call in?
Yeah, it was real weird. I didn't know who he was.
You got a live feed or something?
No, I don't know. Someone passed the link on to somebody else, but yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and he was big philosopher into the future of running. Like he gave us the question. He said, "What did you know 10 years ago, Brady?" No, he said, "What do you know now that you didn't know 10 years ago?" And I explained the fact that last week on the show I was talking about my threshold stuff. I chill on because I know I can go there on race day. I don't have to do it every Tuesday. And he's like, "Yes, you've learnt that." So he goes, "What will you now know in 10 years' time that you don't know now?" So he was from the future going, there's a lot of stuff that you're not going to be doing in 10 years' time that you're currently doing now. That's how gold medalists are thinking. That's how world championship reps are thinking. That's the difference between people making it in this sport and maybe not. So he was very, futuristic. Hadn't really thought like that in
a real
years.
person?
Yeah, correct. Real person, yeah. You listen to it, Croaks?
No, I know who it is.
You might know the accent.
Surname might rhyme with Fonnelly.
For legal reasons, it was Giordano. That's all I can say. Anyway, move on before we get in legal trouble.
In the message,
I know who it is now. That wasn't the most cryptic clue there.
Croaks is just getting us in trouble now. Croaks, we did a good job trying to hide that. Fucking hell.
I have no idea what you were talking about, but that's a good question. I mean, that's exactly what it's like, except the Ultra G is probably less leg load. What do you reckon? I saw it. I had an Ultra G pop up for sale. I think it was 25 grand. I'm like, that's a good deal on an Ultra G.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. It depends on the mechanical status of it, its health, because I know it's real hard to get parts for them when they go down. But that's a pretty good deal on an Ultra G. Brand new, I think you're talking 120 to 150 grand.
Really? That's how much they cost?
How many months, Brady, till he has one?
Purchase of the week. Bring back that set. I love how he just for me, I'm thinking trying to find 25 grand at the moment would be hard. And he's just I reckon to come up on Facebook Marketplace, I could do it.
Mate, that's a business investment for your coaching.
Yeah.
Run to PB would shout you that for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. And then how many of them are in the country? All the footy clubs have them, don't they, or not?
So a lot of physio clinics, not a lot, but I think you'll find in most regional towns, regional cities, there'll be one. Maybe it'll be at a footy club, but a lot of physio clinics, a lot of sporting type club, sports focused clinics have them, the big ones. And then they're at a lot of sporting clubs, the big professional teams. I reckon most AFL clubs will have one. I know there's one or two in Geelong. There's one at a place called the Injury Clinic. There's one at Footy Club. I think there's two at the Cats Footy Club. There's some in Melbourne. I definitely know that.
How come, Moose? Answer me this, off kind of topic, but I just typed into Google, and every time you type anything related to any kind of treadmill into Google, and also Ultra G, you get the Nordic track stuff just floods the stream. How much are they paying to do that?
That's all. They're paying a lot for that.
Yeah.
That is just basically marketing. That's just you're paying a lot. You're basically paying for your name to pop up first. Big marketing bucks there.
Yeah, crazy. Oh, yeah. Anyway, back to your week. We've gone off track already.
I had a day off the next day, so I had a rest. Felt like I needed it too. 45-minute mountain bike, but geez, that's hard when you're on the single track, trying to climb trying to climb a bike up like a really technical single track steep hill, very difficult. Next day, did some more surges. I was supposed to go 12K, but I cut it because I just wasn't feeling that good. Just didn't feel that right. So Ali said, cut it back to 8 to 10 if you're not feeling great. So this was fine, 48 minutes. Then I ran shorter on Saturday, 7K. Chucked the question out in the Strava. Got absolutely blanked. Just fucking crazy stuff. Like 7 a.m. in the morning, sun's coming up, beautiful day, middle of nowhere, middle of the bush. Well, not middle of the bush, but like a good kilometre from a house, and totally blanked. Only 2 people within probably a kilometre of us as well. Blanked. I'm like, whoa, that's a stiff one right there to get blanked like that. And I realised, public holiday weekend, long weekend, different kind of cat in town. They're not used to sort of the small town say g'day vibes. I get that. I just feel like it goes against human nature to to actively avoid someone. But not everyone in the comments agrees with me, funnily enough.
So you think over the ear headphones mean
That was my call.
Mean you're less friendly of a person?
Well, you're less likely to reciprocate a greeting.
So you're talking about the the ones we use. What are they called?
Shocks.
Shocks.
No, they're not over the ear. They're behind the ear. I'm talking like the headphones with the head,
big,
the earphones,
earmuffs.
The muffs.
Oh,
you know.
Why are people running
Yes,
with those
they
on?
do run in them.
I know, and they wear them at the gym.
Yeah, and this must be so sweaty inside that muff.
Yeah.
It's just like hot and gross. But that was my take. There are a couple others. Let me just pull up a couple of comments in here. Morning runners. Not sure if that's sort of saying that an afternoon runner is going to be more reciprocative.
Someone said Apple Watch.
Oh, Apple Watch. Okay, good. Super shoes. Running in super shoes.
Like out for a jog. Yeah.
Footy bros. Yeah. Don't get too much love from the footy bros on a run.
What about half tights under shorts?
Haven't really noticed them being less of a good morning type.
Okay.
I don't understand it personally. I just don't understand the necessity of it.
It's less revealing, isn't it? Isn't that why people do it?
I reckon it's for chafing reasons.
You wear them under there for chafing reasons. But then why would you wear shorts on top? That doesn't impact any more chafe. That's just a cover-up moose.
I don't get that. Because, it's a real runner's, like, the new school runner that's sort of started the last couple of years, the COVID runner that's come in, started training for stuff, and they start out in their gym gear. That's cool. Trying to sell a man a pair of half tights that comes from that world is just impossible stuff. Like no one wants a bar of it. The guy come in today who started running a bit more. He's like, I need a pair of shorts. Like I grabbed the Nike Aeroswift half tight. I'm like, these are really nice to run in. He's like, no way. Then I put on half tight. These go a little bit longer down. He's like, nah. Grab out a pair of loose baggies that are like I would wear around or to work, but I probably wouldn't run in. He's like, yeah, they look good. I'll get them. Maybe it's revealing. Don't know. That's
athletics. That's a barrier. That's like I'm not a track runner doing athletics. That's what they wear.
Yeah,
I never wore half tights for years. Like I reckon I'd been running for close to 10 years before I started wearing half tights.
Yeah, me too.
Like it was all just shorts. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think half tights were as popular either. I feel like they were more of a sprinter thing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A distance runner.
I reckon 2017, 18, they started to get popular.
I don't reckon I actually wore them in a race too until maybe like 2021 or something. Like, I had to get around that.
Yeah.
I was a split short. Why would you not wear split shorts in a race? The shortest ones you can find. That's what I want.
Yeah, 2-inch.
Running for Sydney Uni in the all white, I had a pair of all white half tights.
Oh, you would have looked good.
Croaks.
Imagine Croaks, 15 years younger, all white half tights moose.
Yeah, that's tell his religion from that.
White undies underneath.
Oh, you rolled the undies?
Underneath, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Well, that was also, I feel like the liner wasn't as good in the early days of half tights. Now they're great built-in jocks. Yeah.
They often never had them.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're just bouncing, aren't you?
Do you know what, boys? What's about to hit the country?
What, not the Mizuno ones that you've been banging on?
The Mizuno ones are about to land.
I can read your mind.
I told you a year ago they're going to come in. They're going to come in one day. The 2.4% improvement in running economy half tights are about to land. And I am excited for them, like big time, because this is the best half tight that you'll ever wear in your entire life. And that's hands down. Brought them all back, brought everyone, not everyone, but I brought some of the main staff of the running company these half tights, bought the Mizuno store out in Osaka or Tokyo. And I brought them back, and they're all like, fuck, this is so, like, they're hard to get on. We're talking pretty tight half tights here, but once they're up, 2.4%, like, what are you willing to give up for that? You're willing to give up your Lulu contract for 2.4%?
Are there good pockets? Because
pockets.
Yeah, so
no
you can't
pockets.
have your gels, which cost you 10% of the race. So you might be moving through the air better, but you can't carry any carbs. Hit a wall at 32K, your race is over. You're going to look good. Good luck with your 2.6% then.
You could probably put little stitch pockets in them.
Yeah. You shouldn't have to pay $150 for a pair of tights and then have to stitch pockets in yourself.
Did I wear them last year at
yeah, you DNF.
Osaka?
You wore them twice, I think, didn't you, in Osaka? And DNF both times.
Shit, they didn't help me. They didn't help the hamstrings.
Yeah.
These things
There could
are good,
be something
though.
in this, Moose.
2.4%.
You've worn them twice, only ever, and you pulled out at halfway of the marathon both times. Exactly the same spot.
Here
Do
I
you know
was
who you
thinking,
sound like?
Moose is doing a plug for his business here, but he's just, it's all come undone.
Good luck.
You sound like Mona when he first saw Super Shoes. That's what you sound like.
Mate, I'm just
trying
saying.
to tell me they're no good.
Well, there's
trying to tell me the
evidence.
Vaporfly's no good.
I got one case study. You DNF'd twice.
That's right.
100% of the time you wear them, you DNF.
What about the actual study that
Well, what
showed
about-
2.4%?
What about this? How'd Race Edwards go in them as well at Osaka?
Not sure he wore them, to be honest. Can't remember.
He wore them. He's still going. He's at about 39K.
He still wears them, I think.
Didn't wear them for Port Fairy, but wore them for Osaka.
Trains in them, though. Forget the ASICS contract. He is training in them.
Anyway, Mizuno, if you want to send us a pair, we'll be happy to review them. Just repair that relationship.
Got down to the Surf Coast Track Club long run on Sunday morning. So did 14K. That was on the menu. Got a few little hills in. It was good to get back with a mini group. Called this one Fighting the Virus. And the virus refers to the trend at the moment for a lot of local runners to run as flat as they possibly can on a Sunday morning and avoid the hills and avoid the dirt and the trails and the area that's generated so much success in the past. So that's the virus that's creeping in down here. And there's a few that are sort of going, oh, we want to resist that. We want to keep running in the bush. And Cam and Sam were two of the ones that stood up to it. And I'm hoping that we can sort of pull the group back to some good trails in the future.
They'll be doing marathon-specific stuff, though, won't they? They need the flat.
Well, some of them do. That's right. Some of them do, and I'm all for that. To a degree, I still think the virus refers to the relentless pursuit of perfect training conditions, which I think is a massive issue, is people like hunting down the most idyllic road surface, like the zero elevation if possible, totally out of the wind if you can, just like small loops, everything that might make it as easy as possible to look good for your workout. And I think that is a virus that needs to be accounted for or like combated. I think that we need to add some degree of like challenge or resilience to our runs where we just don't obsess about running as fast as we can on them. I think it helps in races.
Yeah, I like that. Good points there. How many Ks for the week?
61.
All good. You're getting close to Croaks. Here's 108. Take us through it,
Oh.
Croaks.
Half an hour recap for freaking 60K. I reckon you've run 190K a week and you've done recaps faster than that before.
One week of running, and I'm back with opinions on running again. Funny how that happens.
Very up and about, isn't he, Brady?
Yeah, I like it though. We
tuned out for a while.
We ask questions though. It's not just him talking details for the whole weekly recap.
I know.
We give some valuable training insights in there, I feel. And
you make me feel good about myself.
Fighting the virus is a good saying. I want the listeners out there to think about it. Like, what virus is kind of sneaking into your running habits at the moment? And you got to start fighting that virus. I want to talk about one when it comes to my week, Moose. Bit of a virus I've noticed coming in.
Go.
Croaks.
What about your week then? Let's go you.
No, I'll do Croaks
do your week.
Doing my week?
Yeah, go on.
My week was pretty... I had a race, but I'll get to that later. Monday, 70 minutes, 4:34. Felt fine after that half marathon on the Sunday, which was good. 35 minutes on the treadmill, that Arvo. Tuesday, did 90 minutes and then put the spikes on because I was racing on those Saturday night for some strides. I think I did like probably 8 or 9 by like 15, 20 seconds just on the grass oval. That felt nice. 30 minutes on the treadmill, that Arvo. Wednesday, did 10 by 1 mile reps off 1 minute walk recovery. Kind of like I spoke about last week, like very much under training, kind of keeping the pace at that 316, 318 kind of average. Heart rate was pretty low. I don't think I went over like 160 beat average for any of them. I got a gel down while I was going, boys, more so to like try to train the gut. So I got 90 grams down in the hour workout. And also to help me like recover and give me energy for the rest of the day. So a few people kind of messaged me privately, like, why are you taking a gel in like a workout like that? And I was like, it's not so much to get through the workout, it's to get through the rest of the day and to just practice like, here's the gut, here's 90 grams, handle it, which was good. And obviously lucky that Precision's hooking us up with a lot of gels at the moment that we can, use them in kind of workouts like that as well.
What pace were you running again?
About 316, 317 for the miles.
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
Just over.
I think that's probably the faster you run, the less you'll be able to get that gel down.
Yeah. This is ideally goal marathon pace.
That's right. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
So, and sometimes in the minutes, I'd have a swig of it when I'm walking around, and I think it can only be helping me, can't it? So
I reckon there's more pro groups out there that are doing this sort of stuff, and it's like maybe even when they're doing higher intensity sessions, they're obviously not taking it on during the reps. They're just taking it on during the recoveries.
Yeah, which for that point of we just want to help our recovery. Like we're almost starting to put fuel in the body during the workout so we can replenish that as we're going kind of thing. Yeah. Thursday before school, did 10K, 4:44 pace. Listened to the Berlin boys. Enjoyed Paddy's recap in there of Osaka. Seeing all the photos of like Japan and like I guess Tokyo Marathon. Did you guys feel like missing out, a bit of FOMO not being in Japan this time of the year? I love Japan. The vending machines, the food marts, 7-Elevens. Like when he was talking about that stuff, I'm like, I want to go back to Japan. Not necessarily to run. I just want to go to Japan.
Well, this is the most successful February, March Moose has had in the last 3 years by not going to Japan.
Talking about I've run 2 good half marathons.
Yeah, so I enjoyed those boys there. 30 minutes on the treadmill in the afternoon. Friday did 50 minutes and just a few surges. I kind of went out and back. I've got like 2 different ways I do faster like strides / surges. Like if that is surges for me are way more half-assed. It's like I'm in the last couple of Ks I'm just punching 20 seconds, bit of a jog between, go again. Whereas strides I'm like get home, change my shoes, do drills, do the strides with like intent, like concentrate on form, all those kind of things. And I was way short of time Friday morning, so I was just like, just do some half-assed strides towards the back end of the run. Saturday morning, did 25 minutes early, did a bit of a shakeout at like 4:54 pace. And then, geez, boys, waiting around for a PM race, 7:30 race time, when you got kids, not fun. Not fun. The kids' energy throughout the day, wanting to play cricket, basketball, jump in the pool. Like, I'm trying to stay like 1 out of 10 energy level throughout the day, and the kids are just operating at 10 out of 10. But we survived the day, and then I drove to Bendigo that night. This was the Bendigo Gift 2-mile invitation race, which was handicap running, which is on a grass track, different than the old athletics track on the synthetic. And I guess for people who are unaware of this kind of circuit, because not many people do it these days, it's got a rich history. Like, obviously, the Stall Gift is the main one, but it's a whole different association and league. So I'm not actually registered with the Victorian Athletic League, but they do these invitation races where they invite people to come and do one of their races. So you don't have to pay rego, you don't have to pay entry. And they, kind of set it up where you all start at different locations. So my handicap, so it was a 2-mile race. So the back marker runs 2 miles, which was Ed Marks. Listeners will be familiar with Ed Marks from World Cross Country. Just finished behind Have To, I reckon. Nearly won a big race too. What was the race he nearly won? He got out-dipped. Was it Lonnie? Isaac Hayne? I reckon Isaac Hayne out-dipped him at Launceston.
Right.
Was that him? Yeah.
I
think it was him. I think he had the lead too, and Isaac pulled him in late and dipped him on the line. He might have actually won. I don't know. But anyway, quality runner. So they always try to get like one quality guy to be the back marker, and then you just get a whole lot of guys to be sprinkled different distances around the track. And then it's still real old school, so they give you a singlet that you have to wear so the crowd can identify who's the back marker. The back marker wears red, and then there's different colours depending on where you start in the race. My handicap was 210 metres. I started with Surf Coast Track Club Liam Hanrahan Moose. That's the boy who's talking about our long run, I'd assume, because he was there on Sunday as well.
No comment.
Wasn't him. He was seemed like a good fella too. And then, it's like there weren't any bookies on Saturday night, but, there were bookies once upon a time, and it was more kind of like, I don't know, you'd have people drinking beers, kind of like a bit of a carnival atmosphere. So a real kind of novelty. It doesn't happen much these days, and the crowds are a bit smaller, but I did do a lot of this back in the day because my first 2 coaches, when I started running when I was 15 and 16, they were kind of big on professional kind of handicap running at the time. So I did do a lot of these from like 2003 through to like 2012, 2013. So this was fun. I was super nervous. I had like butterflies in my tummy because I'm like 3K races, handicapped. It really put me out of my comfort zone, and they're just over so fast as well. Gun went. Liam he got me off the line, Moose. My cadence. Not many people get me off the line. Maybe the marathon legs.
He's a 400 man.
Is he?
He's a past 400 metre runner.
I didn't know that. So
he's actually gone pretty quick over 400.
Okay. So we were off 210. I think the front was like maybe 300 and something, maybe 310. So we were kind of like close to the front, but we were more middle markers, I guess. So he went. We had a guy starting 10 metres in front of us, Michael Ride. I let Liam lead the first lap, and then I went past him, and then I caught the guy 10 metres in front of us. And then this athletics track was 360 metres around. So we had to do pretty much 8 laps for us. And then from 6 to 2 laps to go, I led and got us into the front, boys. I hit the front with about 900 metres to go. But I'd towed this Michael Ride guy. I couldn't get rid of him. He just sat on me the whole time, played me like a violin. We walked to the start line and he said, I got married last weekend. I've been on antibiotics. I'm not really fit at the moment. But shit, he was fit. So I towed him up to the front, hit the lead, probably spent 150 metres in the lead to get us with 2 laps to go. And then Michael Ride went flashing past me. Absolutely smoked me in the last K. I think I ran 2:48 and he ran 2:45. Couldn't keep up with that kind of pace. There was someone with like 50 metres to go was just yelling out, like, Ed Marks is 10 metres behind you, 10 metres behind you. And I was just like, just dollar signs, boys. That was all that was in my eyes. Because these races actually pay really well as well. So it was $1,000 for the win, $400 the second, and paid down to like 10th. So just held off Ed Marks. I ran 8:38 for 10 metres less than 3K, which I thought was a pretty good run on the grass. Probably means I'm in, I don't know, maybe 8:30 shape for a synthetic track, 3K. Had fond memories like this. I said last week, and you were taking the piss out of me a bit, Croaks, but this was, my dad took me down to train with these guys when I was 15, and at the time you don't really think much of it, but now as a parent you understand the importance about who your first coach is and how they can kind of like nurture you and teach you lessons, and they were really big on like not overtraining. Like I wanted to run 5 and 10Ks as a 15-year-old, and they were like, nah, you're doing 400s and 800s, and we'd do stuff like 6x200, and I'd get in the car afterwards and be like, they're not training me hard enough. Like I wanted to do more, and they were always like, you can do more when you're grown up, like you want to be sustainable. And these two guys, Neil B. Doddle and John Burke, they just instilled so many good life lessons into me as a kid, and I was like so stoked that I could be there 22 years later and still run around this track. And yeah, Neil's quite sick at the moment. He just got diagnosed with terminal brain cancer a couple of weeks ago, so they let him out of hospital for 2 hours to like come watch. And yeah, it was just really special to be still, I don't know, like still just having fun with your running and doing something that you were 22 years ago. And I really wanted to try and win it for him, to just be like, hey, you kind of taught me how to run all that time ago, and now you kind of still kind of there, like, but second was still good. And yeah, Righty did a great job in just, yeah, fucking playing me real well so he could tactically sit on me and then out-kick me at the end there. But good experience, boys, and I know pro running is not your forte, and it's probably nice to see Ed Marks actually win races, the best person in the race win, but it was still fun to be a part of. And yeah, just having, I guess the handicap gives a lot of people a chance to kind of, be in the race, I suppose, so it makes it a better spectacle. But that was fun. Cooled down with Nath Stote. He did start 60 metres behind me, but he didn't quite catch me, which I was pretty happy with because Nath Stote's a pretty good runner. Then Sunday, jumped in the group in Bendigo, did 2.5 hours. Crammers, Nath Stote and I started early. And then Andy was only doing 90 minutes, so he jumped in half an hour in. Nath Stote picked up the pace like after Andy peeled off and started running like 4:05s for the last 10K. And it was
There's
hot.
your alpha.
Yeah.
You've been missing the alpha. Here he is.
Half stepping me and just
putting his hand up saying, I'm the leader. I'm the captain now.
Yeah, he was. And then he was telling me we're about 3K from home, and he goes, oh, because we all, like, late night, well, it was like 7:30 race, but you don't get to sleep until like 10:30ish, 11ish, and then you're up at 5 to run. So not a lot of sleep. And he's telling me with 3Ks to go that he's so exhausted and he's going to go home and sleep for the rest of the day. And I'm like, why the fuck are we running 4:05K pace? And I've got to go home to 2 kids to look after for the rest of the day. And I'm like, man, he's cooking me at the end there. But it was good to get some hills in. I think there's a risk involved in doing a long run like that so soon after a race. But I think there's also some gains to be able to run 2.5 hours on beat up legs. So that was good. 165K for the week. Good fun.
That is good mileage.
Good mileage. Keep the average up there. Coaches commencing after Ballarat. I told you about that last week.
After Ballarat.
After Ballarat, yeah. Well, we kind of had it. We had a chat. Oh, well, it's not locked in yet, but I've got a conversation locked in with someone in a few weeks or after Ballarat time. And we're like, yeah, it's like you do this 3K race, you got a 2-week taper, only really gives him 5 weeks of work. So
Australian coach?
Overseas coach, which would be good. That's
don't
it.
Don't want to throw him under the bus. Like, he's got 6 weeks to,
Yeah, so I'm going to do some crazy shit the next 6 weeks, boys. Keep an eye out on my Strava. Hopefully it comes up on your feed.
Nothing too crazy, because you want to go to him not busted.
Well, I'm also like, where's the limit? Like, is getting injured and missing Ballarat that bad? I'm not going overseas. I've got no flights I've booked. I've never been injured in my life. Like, why don't we just roll the dice a bit and just see where the line is and see, like, not that I want to get a stress fracture, but maybe I should do some crazy shit, Croaks.
I don't know about that.
Triples, I was thinking, Cam Logan style.
You've been following these Australian females that are just banging out week after week after week of 200Ks, and like you've pretty much been doing that yourself.
I've done a couple of 200K weeks in my time, but nothing. Not
or
as big
is
as
it
those girls.
The guy in Japan, is he a hero now where you want to start running 230K weeks?
No, I was actually
40K time trials on a Sunday.
So it wasn't, it wasn't so much like let's go crazy in the mileage. Let's maybe just turn up some of the workouts. Like let's do a couple of 45K long runs over hills. Be out there for 3.5 hours. Just get 1,000 metres of climbing. It's kind of a free shot at the target. I want to run Valencia later in the year.
I like you being on hills.
Yeah, let's maybe instead of 4x5K, let's maybe do 4x10K, but just slow the pace down a bit. Just make it a 45K tempo.
Yeah. I also don't think you can either, like if you have a good race, if you do this stuff and then you have a good race in Ballarat, like I don't think necessarily doing something for 4 to 5 weeks is the reason why that good result happens. I think you look at anybody that performs well and they follow a particular system for a long period of time and they're consistent with that system, whereas you change the stimulus for 4 or 5 weeks. I don't necessarily think that makes you a better athlete.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Andy would say the same thing. Didn't change anything, just kept doing it. So yeah, that's it. Croaks, take us through your week. Yearning to get off the roads and onto the trails? Wondering what the fuss is all about out there in the bush? Find your epic and run with nature at the 2025 Buffalo Stampede Festival by Single Track Events. Held in Bright in Victoria's High Country on March 28 to 30th, the Stampede offers challenging trail runs with serious elevation from 10K to 100K. Sign up using the promo code INSIDERUNNING10 for a 10% discount off a race entry and your chance to win one of 3 pairs of Asics shoes.
Okay, so Monday, just over 45 minutes after work, Lily was on the bike. So that was, on the bike paths around Yerrabee Pond and just outside Mulligan's, 4:24 average. And then Tuesday afternoon, I went out and joined the group at the track. So I wanted to test how my Achilles would go on like a session that's not on the treadmill. So this would have been my first session outside since early January, I think. And the session was just a heap of 400s off 30 seconds recovery. So I ended up doing 16 of them. It was reasonably warm afternoon, but we had a good little pack. There was like 4 of us initially, and I was like, hey, let's just lead 2 reps each. So it's like, basically you lead 2 reps, jump to the back of the pack, and before you know it, 8 reps are done. And so we were rolling most of these, probably 76, 77s were like the majority of them. So what's that, like 310 to 315 kilometre pace off 30 seconds. Achilles, warm up, no pain at all. Session, I probably got to maybe like rep 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there, and it like just started to like niggle away. I got to 16 and I'm like, that's enough. Like I could do 20, but obviously I'm building back, and I always feel like when you're going to revisit sessions, which I plan on doing this session regularly, it's like you want somewhere to go. You don't want to max out like the maximum amount of reps first session. So I'm like, I'll pull the pin at 16. It gives me somewhere to go. Like I felt fairly good. Like actually in terms of like covering the ground, like I felt absolutely amazing. Best I felt in a long time. The Achilles obviously wasn't amazing towards the end. Cooling down, it was very tender. So it was probably the worst it's been in the last month building back up. So I was a little bit concerned how it was going to go for the rest of the week. So Wednesday, I thought, like I want to test it out. Like it settles pretty well overnight, which I've sort of said before. So I thought, well, I'll just jump on the treadmill at home. If it's no good, I can just stop. So jumped on the treadmill, had the UK monthly boys on, and to my surprise, like I got through 75 minutes, had it set on 12K an hour, no pain at all. So that was a really good result. I was stoked with that. Listening to those boys for 75 minutes just made the time go super quick. I quite enjoy just listening to the podcast on the treadmill.
The boys have got it too, haven't they? Like,
Yeah,
don't want to just be plugging Patreon content, but these boys have got chemistry. They're smart guys. They got opinions. Like,
yeah, I like how they
it's
sort of
flowing.
complement each other. It's like I look at Clousey, and to me, he seems like he should be back in like the 1970s, 1980s, a bit sort of blue collar, old school. It's like, don't need all these gadgets. Just go out, run hard, and that sort of thing.
You don't need a rest. You just run continuous.
Yeah, it's a bit old school. And then you've got like Dan, like the scientist, where everything's a bit more sort of calculated and measured. And then you've got Aaron, who sort of brings it all together. So
who's sick every single month.
Yeah, so it's it's a good listen. But I was stoked to get through 75 minutes. Took Thursday off because I've been taking Thursdays off, just because I think just smart at the moment. And then I jumped on the treadmill for my sort of standard 6-minute session on the Friday. I'd been doing previous weeks. I'd been doing all the reps at around 16.5K an hour, so like high 330s. And this was probably the first session where my heart rate was probably a lot lower than it's been in previous weeks, which was a good sign for me because obviously the pace was the same. It's probably a little bit cooler as well, which helps. So I did 4 reps at 16.5K an hour. Did the last rep at 17K, which is like 330s. Heart rate was pretty much like low 160s for that session. That was Friday. Saturday, I ran from home, did a lap of Mulligans, and then headed to basically did a lap of Mulligans and then ran to Little Athletics and finished there. And I was about 5 minutes into my run, heading up the first sort of hill, the hill at Mulligans, and saw one of the weirdest things that I've ever seen, especially in Mulligan's Flat. He was a guy running with an umbrella in the bush. I was just like, running with an umbrella in the bush.
Open?
So, was it raining or was it hot?
It was drizzle. It was like really light drizzle. So he had his bum bag on, and was like, so I'm coming up behind him, and I'm just like, is that guy running with an umbrella? I did have my phone with me. I almost stopped to like record it because I just thought, you're out in the bush, it's drizzle. Like I couldn't think of anything worse than having to run holding an umbrella.
You couldn't get an arm swing with that arm.
Oh, anyway, I then saw him the next morning on Sunday. He was coming back up the other way. There was he had bum bag on, but there was no umbrella.
Do you reckon he's a listener?
I don't think so.
They give you a good morning?
I've got the theory about Canberra people, Moose.
I know your theory. I don't agree with it, by the way.
Neither do I. It's just a theory that someone passed on to me.
What is it? What is it?
The people in Canberra love running with umbrellas.
Nah, that's not it. Tell us what you think.
No. I just some of the behaviour I hear about up there, Croaks.
Yeah, so they did an hour, 4:23s. Achilles was like a little bit niggly, like once again, no more than sort of 1, 2 out of 10. And then that afternoon, jumped on the treadmill just for a double, just to see how it would go. And got through 35 minutes at like 4:48. That felt fine. And then actually after that, jumped on the bikes. Myself and Lily went down to Yerrabee Pond, which is like a kilometre away from home, to help one of my athletes on one of his sessions. He was going to run Interclub here, and he thought the Interclub race was on Saturday, so he was going to do the 5K there. And then I was at Jimmy Barker's place Saturday morning, and I said, "Oh, did you do a session this morning?" He goes, "No, I paced Ollie, who's his son, in the 3K last night." I was like, "What? Interclub was last night?" He's like, "Yeah." So I messaged with the guy I coach. I'm like, "Mate, I think you may have missed your race. Interclub was last night." He's like, "Oh, shit." So I said, "Oh, let's just do like a bit of a 5K progression, a bit of a time trial." So Lily and I went down there on the bikes and just sort of, cleared the path for him a little bit. So that was Saturday afternoon. And then Sunday, got through 2 hours again. Hill was pretty good. I think the hill was definitely better than the week before. So that was 2 hours, 4:18s. Took one gel. I've been taking one gel, just a precision 30 gram with caffeine, probably about, 80 minutes in or something. So that was a week of 108K.
Good, Croaks.
So,
hey, I forgot to say my virus thing. It was like getting races more. Like, just not so much for you. I'm just noticing about myself now that I've like spent a lot of time with people who haven't known when their last race was, or their last good race. And I'm just like, I reckon we start getting in this trap like we're Kipchoge and we've got to be in a camp for and not racing for 6 months and only have one good one. So I'm encouraging the listeners, if you're at 80%, jump in a race, have some fun.
Yep.
You will never feel more alive in any other aspect of your life. Or maybe you will. Maybe you're into recreational drugs and stuff like that and you do get your kicks from other areas in your life. But it's pretty hard to get the feels that you get in a race. And I don't think people race. I definitely think you can over-race, but I think way too many people under-race. So, Croaks, I reckon, give it 2 more weeks and find something.
2 weeks.
Croaks is a man who needs a race.
Go do some damage to some kids out there, Croaks. Get to parkrun and just go, you know what, I'm smashing anyone who thinks they're running 17 minutes today.
Yeah, look, I'm keen to, if everything goes well, I definitely want to do Sydney 10. But my heel and Achilles is definitely not up to racing yet. I'm managing it. I'm managing to get through more load every single week. But for example, tomorrow, the group are doing hills. I'm not doing the hill session tomorrow. I'm going to do 2 treadmill sessions this week, but I am going to try and increase my weekly volume again. But I'm hoping in a couple of weeks' time that maybe I can introduce some light hills, and even my long run has added some more hills compared to what I was doing, 3-4 weeks ago. So I am adding more stimulus, but if I go and race now,
I didn't mean right now. I just mean when you get back. I'm just we've had this chat before, but it's something I'm going to try to implement. Good though. That staircase is just continuing to build on your Strava graph here.
Hopefully another 5-10K this week.
Should we thank some Patreon supporters? Who you got, Moose? Do you want to go first with Aaron?
Are you going first on a Patreon supporter?
Yeah. Is that okay? Just because I knew Croaks just finished talking, so I thought I'll flick it to you.
I can do it. I can do it. Shock me. Aaron Brasolo from Melbourne. Not a lot of info on Az, but a few results. Ran 19:08 at the 2023 Zatopek Community 5K. Remember that one?
I think they've done it a couple of years now.
Have they? Okay. 46 minutes at the 2023 Mornington Running Festival 10K. And 96 minutes at the 2023 Sydney Marathon half, which, didn't finish at the Opera House. Fortunately, a bit stiff. Or was
the 10K definitely didn't, but I reckon the half did. No longer exists though that race, does it? Because the marathon's going to be so big.
I don't think it did, Brady.
Half Opera House. Started
2023.
So this was
that was the year you did it. Yeah, I paced. Hot and windy year.
Yeah, they didn't finish there.
Did they start earlier?
Yeah, an hour earlier.
They started earlier.
And then they finish earlier? Or we would have ran up the...
they didn't finish them there, I'm telling you.
Where'd they finish that?
I'm telling you. Some other joint.
Okay, I believe you.
And that's why the crowds were so good, because people had finished the half and they're out on the streets cheering the marathoners.
Oh, is that right?
Good from you, Croaks.
Good theory.
So we didn't even run up the back of any half marathoners, though, did we? Did they do a completely different course?
I don't know what their course was, but I know they did not finish at the Opera House.
I guess an hour head start. Yeah. Anyway, someone
you'd still run up a few, maybe.
Yeah, you still would, especially some run walkers. Anyway, something to ponder for next week. Who you got, Croaks?
I got Alistair Bunting from the UK, and I'm pretty sure he's a dentist. And according to his Power of 10 profile, he's run 17:51 at the Pool Park Run, 39:54 at the 2024 Abu Dhabi 10K, 84:12 at the Wokingham half, and 2:57 at last year's London Marathon. Also represented the UK at the 2016 World Duathlon Age Group Champs. So, good work, Alistair, and thanks for your support.
Good to have a dentist. Is that the first one we've had over the years?
Don't know. I think he's Defence Force dentist maybe.
Okay, works on the troops.
Yeah,
that's good.
There you go. Abu Dhabi too. Got a race in the Middle East. Would have been hot.
Yeah, they got a couple of good ones close by though, don't they? The Iraq Half Marathon, Dubai Marathon. Abu Dhabi, didn't they cut the corners one year and run super quick there? Remember that? Bit of controversy a few years ago. I'm thanking Brendan Williams, boys. We think he might live around the Macedon Ranges. Beautiful spot to live. Has run 20:33 at the Maribyrnong Park Run, 42:40 at the 2024 Maribyrnong River Run, 93 minutes at last year's Sandy Point Half Marathon, and 3:24 at the 2023 Melbourne Marathon. He's a run to PB athlete and also does some sessions with the Tuesday Track Club. He's coached by Johnny Cox at Run to PB, and John said today he is a great fellow, loves all sports, all-round legend, and a family man. So a massive thanks for your support, Brendan Williams. While we're doing shout-outs too, boys, I had a man come up to me at this race on the weekend and told me his daughter listens to the podcast. Her name's Layla Muir. Got a photo with her. Always get a bit worried when people tell me their kids listen to the podcast because it may be our youngest listener. She was 12. Know anyone younger than 12 that listens to our podcast every week? Sometimes puts it on for her dad to listen to certain parts. Listen to this bit, Dad, or listen to this bit.
I reckon there's probably some kids under 12 that
don't want to be listening.
Don't have much of a choice.
Yeah, active listener, Layla. So, and she got a win on the weekend as well. So it was lovely to meet her in person there. Running news, thanks to our race results partner, Axel Coffee, our official caffeine partners, helping us wake up every morning. We've been loving the seasonal blend, a smooth, trusted coffee blend served best with milk. Nagoya first, the big story of the week. Good, isn't it good Sunday Arvo, Sunday midday, chucking on a tracker. They got a live stream straight on their website. Izzy Batt-Doyle was getting a bit of footage there. They do such a good job. When they do it well, there's Japanese races that you cannot understand and you can't find trackers, but this Nagoya, they do it really, really well, Moose.
Good. Yeah, I wasn't available for watching. Was down the beach, but was racing back to my phone that was sitting up in the towels from the water every probably 10 minutes just to see the updates, and then I'll run back to the water again. That's how my following the race went.
Yeah, the message groups do light up, don't they, on days like this?
Yeah, it's good too because people are on different streams and different trackers or whatever, or finding different info. So sometimes you'll get something through your message group that no one else has seen. It's how we spread information in the running community. You like to get your whispers from those groups, but it's good for race day.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. Izzy Batt-Doyle was 6 across the line, so she was the first Australian. She ran 2:23.29. She did split, which is another World Champs qualifying time. She already does have it from Valencia, though, when she ran 2:22.59. Split halfway in 70.57. Looked like she got dropped between 15 and 20k, so she was still with the leaders at 15k, and then she fell off about 14 seconds from 15 to 20. And then I was a bit concerned when I saw that because it's a women's only race. So she was dropped off solo her next split. So she kind of went 16:43, 16:46, 16:49, 16:58. So kind of hovering around that mid to high 16s. Then she went 17:09, 17:24 to get herself to 30k. And I thought, this could get nasty here and be quite a big blowout. But she did actually hold it together pretty well. She then went 17:14, 17:08. She moved through the field a bit and then closed in 17:18, which actually the only people quicker than her were first, which was 17:14, and second, which was 17:17. So she's closed as quick as first and second there. The fastest Australian in a women's only race was something to come out of this one. So that's Izzy, boys. Do you want to discuss Izzy before we go on to Leanne?
She can really pepper that 2:23-ish mark, can't she? She's very consistent even with her marathoning. Like we know she had that one bad race in the World Champs in, where was it? Like Turkey or something? Where was that race?
Budapest,
that's right. Yeah, so, but since then, she's really starting to nail them, these 2:23s. I didn't think she went out crazy. Like you would think from her half, 70:57 should be in the wheelhouse for that. But it was a little earlier. Perhaps it was a little quicker earlier than that, and then she slowed into that halfway mark. by then. But yeah, I actually thought she would run faster than this. I think her half suggested she probably could have. I think she'd be disappointed to slow down, like with the positive split like that.
Sorry, Miss. I think that's the marathon a little bit. Like you look at the top results, and like it wasn't a super quick day. Like I probably would have expected some of those girls to run a bit quicker. Like I think there was a little bit of wind around.
No, I did the conversions on that today, Croaks, on this document that we got sent through. So the windiest it got, because they do this is really thorough, this Japanese thing. So they give you what the weather is, what the humidity is, and what the wind reading is at every 5K. So they must have measurements at 5K. And the windiest part of the course, it says it was 4.1 meters per second, MS?
Yeah.
Which, what would that be? 4.1. I'll just convert it now. Which is 14 Ks an hour. Like, that's not horrendous wind. And that was 4.3, and everything else was 2.3, 1.9, 1.8, 3.8, 1, 1.7, 2.7, 2.5, 1.4.
But you know what the marathon's like. I think on any given day, there's always like a couple of minutes. Like, you know, and the packs aren't huge here as well. Like once the packs break up, you're pretty much on your own for a lot of the way, which is probably different to some of the other, like, you know, your Valencias and stuff like that. So, like, I have no doubt she'll run much faster. And on a given day, I think she breaks the Aussie record. I think she's certainly capable of running that time. It's just, as we know, the marathon, you just, you know, I think there's a couple of minutes on any given day between absolutely nailing it and having a solid day.
Well, you consider like a half. We never really look at the halfway split for a half marathon, but I reckon when you're going for these types of like very fine line times, like in terms of your PB or like what you can achieve. Let's say she could run 2:20. Well, what did she go through in 70:57? Let's say she could run 2:22 on the day, and she's gone out in around that pace. In a like if it's not going to happen, the marathon just it will hurt longer, and you will suffer more time leach than you will in any other distance.
Yeah.
So it comes out worse than what it would look like if you went through the halfway and a half and had more of a positive split. Because we also don't really look at positive splits in a half marathon, really. Like, it's not something we talk about. And also, like, this is, again, Nagoya, a women's only race that's always becomes lonely for runners out there. It is not that deep. Like, I think every single time we've found that that runners have ended up by themselves at some point in these races, and the women's only race makes a difference. It absolutely does. Like, you hear Jess saying she was just mowing down men in this in Tokyo, but what happens in these is that, like, if there's a women's group, the men go to it. And they just follow the women's group because there's paces there. They know it'll be consistent. There's a bit of energy around that pack. And so even though they might not be on their right pace group for them, you're going to have people around you. And and
targets when it does get lonely. Like, Izzy would have picked off a few, but it's not like get to that person, sit with them or mow down people together almost, which maybe... And there was a lot of talk on Twitter about Brett Lana was pretty vocal about how bad the pacing was. Like, they wanted it to be quicker. I think they wanted it. Do they want 33 through 10K, and they went 33:28 the paces. So,
good for Izzy. They didn't go faster, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I think then she's actually probably like raced it really well. Like, she's made a conscious decision at 15K to get dropped and be solo, when there was probably 12 girls in front of her. And then, like, you know, Rudy Argo, who was second at Sydney and is maybe like a 2:17 lady, I reckon. She ended up DNFing, stepping off at about 30K. And so she actually picked up some carnage, which, like, this race has $250,000 US first prize. So you'd think that 6 probably pays pretty well. So she's probably done very well financially out of this with appearance fees and stuff.
Appearance fees could be big too.
I heard a number.
Yeah. You heard a big number.
I heard a number from a couple of different sources, and it was the same number.
Pretty big number you heard, which is, I mean, this we see even like in the pace job. So like they tend to recruit Australians for that. Like last year was Leanne was last year. Got a bit of a taste for pacing, I think. Ali's done it in the past. Sinead's done it. Camille Buscombe, Charlotte Purdue. Actually, Camille paced this race, I think.
So she went to 10K. Why are you flying someone from New Zealand for 10K and then be 30 seconds off? Surely there's some Japanese ladies that can run a 33 flat 10K that just got to get on a train for a couple of hours. Or a package deal moose.
Don't know. Could be, I don't know.
Sometimes it is like that. I'll bring X amount of athletes and 3 paces for this amount of money.
Camille's a good runner. Like Camille's...
Olympian.
Times.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder why they were so concerned about the pacemakers doing like a bad job, because at the end of the day, like
this was big in Japan. They had to hit their time for their World Champs qualifier.
Yeah, but like nobody did. Like if the pacemakers were going really slow through the first half or whatever, then people should have been able to massively kick down off that. No one did.
Yeah.
So if the pacemakers went any faster, they probably would have run worse.
Yeah.
Pacemakers looked after him, Croaks.
No, the Japanese love smack in the first half. Get a bit of time up your sleeve, Croaks.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm going to, like, out of 10, let's rate that for Izzy. I'm going to go 7.
There's too many factors, isn't there? Like, I feel it's hard. Like, you look at her training...
Give us a number. I want a number from you.
Well, pass or fail. Well, you can go pass or fail, and you go, well, that time's probably a foul. But it's like, she's come 6th at Nagoya, ran a smart race, executed it well, ran through the field, probably filled her pockets. But then you go, well, look at her Strava, look at her half marathon, and you're like, should be going way quicker than that.
I'll go 7.9.
That was a sub-elite guy putting out those numbers and running that half marathon. You guys would be ripping them to shreds for running a 2:23 mid.
I don't know about that.
I reckon you would.
No, I reckon a 67 mid guy who runs 2:23, that's actually, like, let's consider that for a second.
Well, we put in the calculator last week and it was like 2:20, 2:21.
Yeah, but think about, like, the amount of 67 guys that run at Gold Coast that wouldn't even come close to running 2:23.
Who? Give me some names.
Oh, show me the results list the last 20 years.
From Gold Coast half marathon.
Well, I'm telling you, there's going to be 9 of the 10 that are in between 67 and 67.20 that have not run 2:23.
Okay.
9 of the 10.
Do we disrespect Sinead's? Like, every time someone goes for a marathon, it's just like, oh, will they break the Australian record? Like it's a guarantee. Maybe we've got to start paying. I think we did pay it a lot of respect and talk about how good it was.
We've seen a lot of Australian records go down lately.
That's the world we're living in.
Yeah.
I still think it will go down within the next, like, if we're still podcasting in 2 years' time, I don't think Sinead's record will be like 2:21.
So the thing about this, though, Croaks, is you can't just go marathon to marathon like you can in the 1500 and keep having cracks at it. So Izzy's almost had her crack, and now she goes to the back of the line to get ready for the next one. Who's the next in line?
Jess is gone. Leanne, which we'll get to in a second. She's had a
Who's in London?
Well, there's a few sidelined because of babies at the moment.
That's true.
Ali, Eloise.
Yeah. So look, I think Jess and Leanne, back end of the year, So all the three that have just recently raced, they'll all reload later on in the year. The only thing that'll maybe stop that is if some of those girls decide to run world champs instead of like a Valencia or a Berlin or something like that.
Yeah, so Izzy and Jess have the qualifier.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about Sinead? You reckon that we see her again popping a low 220s?
I don't know. How old is she this year? Is she like 49?
So I don't know off the top of my head.
48? Like, it's surely every year it gets harder and harder. Like,
yeah.
like how many people close to 50 are running that? Like it's, I know age is just a number, but it's got to be hard, surely.
Yeah, I'm not exact. It's got to be hard for sure. I mean, she was breaking not tradition, but the norm by doing what she was doing. What about Lisa Waitman then? Because she consistently punches them out with very little failures. Well, never failures, but she's gone hard at it a few times.
Sinead's 48, Moose. So back end of the year, she'll be fairly close to 49.
The only way to go, if you want to give yourself, you need to be in mixed gender races and you need to have pacemakers teed up to 35k minimum. You need to be at Valencia. You need to get over there a week minimum beforehand. You need to have pacers just looking after you, or like in a big pack of, 30, 40 people like the vision you see. I think that's the only place you can do it.
Yeah. I don't know about the paces thing, but I know
I think you need a lot going. You need your lot going right for you.
It has to be one of those top few races too, though. I don't think it's going to be Nagoya you do it at. I think it's going to be somewhere like it's going to be a Tokyo. It's going to be Berlin, Seville, Valencia. There's not too many. Chicago, maybe.
Chicago, good weather. You can do it at Chicago. There's no excuse to not do it at Chicago. Kipton did it at Chicago. Ruth Chapman, both the world records are set at Chicago.
Paula Radcliffe done it there.
Nah, she did it at London, didn't she? Or Chicago?
Well, look at someone like Leanne. So
2:15 at London, I reckon. Sorry.
So Leanne ran 3 minutes faster than what Izzy debuted in. Leanne ran 2:24.53, halfway in 71.19, second half split of 73.34, which I think given how fast she went out for her debut, she actually held it together really, really well. Like I think in the past, if we saw girls going out at this through halfway for their debut, a lot of them would have actually blown to pieces, whereas she just had a small fade, which is pretty commendable for your debut. And I think it comes down to just her, obviously, volume and just her strength. And we've said for the last couple of years, like Leanne's going to make a fantastic marathoner just from like what you've seen in the way that she races and the way that she runs. But, that was over 3 minutes faster than what Izzy ran when she debuted. Izzy ran, 2:28. And, Izzy's running 5 minutes faster than what she ran when she debuted. So there's no reason why someone like Leanne can't run 2 or 3 minutes faster or 3 minutes faster than what she ran on debut, which then takes her to 2:21.50 for her next one. Like,
it was a good debut. It was a good, and
Izzy and Jen both had paces the whole way for their debuts as well. Like Scotty Westcott took Jen the whole way. Trying to think about the guy's name who took Izzy the whole way at Melbourne that day.
And so both of those girls have gone, 5 minutes faster than their debut, within only only having run a couple of extra marathons since their debut. So, I think Leanne's definitely a shot of taking quite a few minutes off her next one.
And 8th, like big race to come top 10 in for your first marathon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got to be stoked with that. Have you spoken to her, Croaks? Slide into the DMs. Congratulate her.
No, I haven't spoken to her yet.
Congratulate people, Moose.
I do.
No, he's just waiting to... He'll get his congrats when he's pacing her next week.
That's what he's signing up for. He added
Taking
that
to Valencia, I believe he said.
He added that at the end of the interview, didn't he?
Well, I'm not fit enough. I'm not fit enough to pace her at the moment.
He inserted himself a few times in that interview. When I was back in my day, I used to do this, or when I paced Sinead, we used to do that. It's pretty good references from Croaks there. Didn't mind it, to be honest.
Leanne was interviewing Croaks, wasn't he?
She was getting some tips for her debut. That's good. You can go buy that as a one-off purchase if you want on Patreon. The training diary of our fastest ever debut marathoner, who just ran 2:24.53 on debut. Held it together well. And I did see her, I think her coach said that she's gonna home for a rest now, which is obviously what you do after a marathon. Box Hill Burn also happened, boys. This was Thursday night. Box Hill, wave lights. Kind of call it the home of like middle distance running in Victoria, aren't we, Moose? They put on a good meet, the Box Hill Athletes Club. An Australian record went down, another one. Georgia Griffith, she took the 1K record, 1,000 metres on the track. She ran 2:34.5. Abbey Caldwell's record was 2:34.63. She won by quite a lot. Eleanor Fulton was second in 2:41. Pete Bol went for Jeff Riseley's record and just missed it. 2:16.29 for 1K. Let that sink in, boys. 1K and 2:16. Jeff's record, though, in old spikes, no bicarb, 2:16.06. Luke Shaw was second in 2:19.61. The 5K was the most entertaining race you will ever see, and it was a one-man band. Seth O'Donnell goes through the first lap in 60 moose. He's on 12:30 finishing pace. Did not even look at Liam Adams, who was the pacemaker of the second group. People trying to break 14 minutes. Seth's PB going into this race, I did have it up here, was 13:54. And he's gone out like a bat out of hell, just fanging it. Mullets flying in the background. People in the message group are lighting up. What is he doing? He's not going to be able to hold this. Yada, yada, yada. Seth held it, not quite 12:30 pace. He settled down a bit. Held on, though, to run 13:22. Gun to tape solo. The boy looked like, or the man looked like he was cooked with a K to go, and his arms were just flying around. He can go to places that not many runners can. Like, mentally, he can put himself in the hurt locker and stay there for a long period of time. Liam Cashin was second, 13:54. Aidan Veltan was third in 13:55. I feel like if you're one of those people there in the crowd, you'll remember the night that Seth O'Donnell went crazy in that 5K and ran a 13:22 solo. I had some time today to spare, public holiday, and I just went through his Instagram. He's so good on Instagram. He's like doing some smart stuff where he's calling out, influencers saying that treadmills do this or don't wear these shoes, and he'll come in with an actual, like, here's a study that was produced 2 years ago. This is what is actual truth. And yeah, if you're not following him, start following him, because he's a likeable guy and a smart guy, and I just love seeing him have success, because I think he could be, if he can run 13:22 there, like, what could he do at a Diamond League? There's a pace group going at 13:10.
Yeah, I think, like his last few months of, like, I've been quite amazed. Like, obviously, we first saw him sort of come out and win National Cross, and it was always like, okay, Seth's a bit of a grinder. He can win those races on wet cross country courses, but compared to like the top guys on the track and the roads, probably not there. But the last couple of months where he came out and ran like 3:41 for 1,500, like I didn't think he had those sort of wheels. And so I don't know what he's been doing over the last, or since your interview, Brady, I don't know who's coaching him or what he's been doing, but whatever he's done recently, like it's working, because to come out and run 3:41, 13:22 solo, I still think 1,500 is probably at the real short end for him. But surely he can run 13:10 to 13:15 in a fully paced race. And as I said, I think he's better over the longer stuff, which that should then set him up well for 10K half marathon.
Well, marathon crooks. If he can put himself in the hurt locker like that, that could be a bad thing, though. He might put himself in at 25K.
Yeah, he might go through the first K in 2:45.
Yeah.
There's still some like polishing to do. Like 13:22 with a first lap at 60 means he left a fair bit out there for me. Like there's just more. There's like letting it go, being wild, fully sending it. But there's also, he would know now, looking back at that race, going, oh, I probably could have broken 13:20 there. Well, I could have for sure if I didn't roll through 60 to start with. One thing that you mentioned, like he goes to places that others don't. When he gets to that position and he starts to like throw the arms, and he doesn't give a fuck. Like some people, like they always try to look like a beautiful runner. And maybe it's because their coaches told them, oh, when it gets really hard, just focus on your form and stay relaxed and make sure you're running upright or whatever the fuck they tell him. He just doesn't care. He just fights for the line. He's just throwing arms and his head's going everywhere. And he looks like an animal. And it's animalistic the way that he runs. That's why we love it.
Imagine
I was
trying to race
watching.
him. Imagine being next to him with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, yeah.
Shit, I've got to try and deal with this animal.
Yeah. Well, I don't think many people could. He would out mental probably why he's so good at cross country is the harder it is for him, the better he performs. But I think that we watched a star born, like a superstar emerge in that race. I'm so glad I put it on to watch, because that is the beginnings of a rock star in Australia.
Let's patch him in a couple of weeks and just ask him about what's happening, what workouts he's doing.
Yeah, it'd be good to know where he's at with that stuff, because he's obviously very scientifically sort of driven. Like, you see that through his Instagram stuff and his schooling with physio. You would assume he takes a similar approach to running philosophy if he is coaching himself.
There was a workout, one of his videos, he did 3 by 1K with 8 minutes recovery. And he was saying, like, this is all it is, but I am going to hurt here. I don't think he said what the splits were. I didn't hear him if he did, but he was flying on the track. And then that's
interesting stuff. Like, that is going down that whole, like, full speed anaerobic pathway.
Yeah, which is probably why he's running these quick times now over 1,500.
Well, there's the one as well about, like, don't go to the track and waste your time doing half-assed drills. Like, if you're going to do drills, do them properly. And, like, so he's obviously spending a lot more time on probably the mechanics. I like that, though. Yeah. The half-assed drill thing. Fucking perfect. Call out.
Did you see the one, Croaks, where he's got a video going and he says it's like these are the best sprinters in Australia and they're all doing like a 120-metre rep all in different lanes. And then he's like got a bit, and then he's at the back and his arms going everywhere and he's trying to keep up with him doing like pure speed stuff. Looks so good. He's got Red Hot Chili Peppers Can't Stop playing in the background as well. It's a classic. Anyway, Seth O'Donnell, keep doing what you're doing. We love it here at the Inside Running Podcast. New South Wales Miles, meet Croaks.
Did you go through the women's?
No, I didn't. Sorry. I got so excited about Seth. I forgot about there was more races to talk about. This was interesting. Similar vibes. Amy Robinson, I reckon, requested the pace lights at 15 flat. She went pretty hard through the first 2 laps and then fell off a bit. Taylor Werner, who I think is in Australia and America and training at the moment. She had the Puma Elite kit on. She ended up catching her and running 15:44. Sarah Klein was second in 15:49, and then Amy did hold on for third in 15:57. So some big names getting around Box Hill Burn. And hats off to Box Hill Athletics Club for putting on meets like that. I think they sold it out, waiting list.
Quick question. Did you think Amy Robinson maybe look a bit tired?
Yeah, well, to go out at that pace and then just break 16 minutes. So you did comment the other week that she's done a lot of racing recently.
A lot of racing.
So, that's what happens when you race a lot. You get tired, eh? Maybe. What's coming up? Is there a track classic coming up that should be racing at?
Well, yeah, so there's Sydney this weekend, which is also the National 3K champs, but her name's not on the start list for that one.
Okay. And then there'd be Maury Plan. Is that the next big one?
Yep.
Okay. Back to you now, Croaks. Sydney.
So this was also on Thursday night out at Bankstown. Women's 800 was like the pick of the races in terms of, I guess, quality. Bendere Oboya, she got the win, 159.27, beating Abbey Caldwell, 159.72, and Tess Kersop-Cole was third in 201.51. So that they were world indoor qualifiers for both Bendere and Abbey. So I think there's now 3 that are under the standard. So those 2 and Sarah Billings. I'm not sure how many they can send to World Indoors. So, and then in the men's 800, Luke Boys, I believe this was his season opener. So he won in 147.34, beating Ben Jagger, 150.3. And the men's 1500, Harm Shat ran 351.03 to beat Oliver Neat, 351.1. And Ruby Madden got the win in the women's 423, beating Rose Finnegan, 424.
Excellent. South Australia state champs, Moose.
Yep. Not like the deepest sort of fields here, or maybe they were. We just didn't see we just saw championship racing play it. So in the 800, Alex Torts ran 150.14, beat DeGrasse and Makata 150.4. Tessa Ebert ran 2:07, beat Victoria Kolsch 2:08. 1500, Jonathan Harris 3:46 from Thomas Alvin Bean 3:48. And in the ladies, Zoe Tolan 4:26 from Tessa Ebert 4:26.08. So close one there. Very tight. In the 5K, Adrian Potter still winning state champs over there. 14:09, beat Fraser Darcy 14:16. And Tiana Seta ran 16:37 to beat Acacia Wadham 17:43. Now, interesting, you've put here non-compliant shoes, Croaks.
Yeah, so I don't know what they do over in South Australia. They must allow everybody to run in the A race, and then people can wear whatever shoes they want, but then they just put in brackets in the results non-compliant shoes. So I'm guessing that Acacia is not eligible for a state medal.
Probably. I guess that, I mean, that's probably fair if you're running in a state championship. So I will pay that.
A race too.
Pay that. That's right. Yeah.
I like it though. I like that they still allow people to run in whatever shoes they want, and basically they just get an asterisk that doesn't go onto World Athletics profile or whatever. Because like there'd be so many times when, like, I know I'd happily run more track races just in super shoes, but if I have to run in spikes, then I'm probably not going to race. So
we should have given the mention to whoever comes third then, because they really come second. Don't need to find it now, but it's just like Fraser Darcy's running well. He's come like, he was the guy I was in the pack with at Sydney. Ran 2:21 at Sydney. He's kind of come out of nowhere a bit. 14:16 is a legit time. I reckon he ran 8:15 or 8:20 or something over there for 3K as well.
Adrian Potter ran 14:09. You haven't said a word about him.
Adrian Potter's been running 14:09 for the last 7 years.
He's run 13. I think Adrian's run like 13:40 something.
Yeah,
he won. It's a championship and he won.
I'm just saying, Fraser Darcy, I reckon, was running 15:16 last year, and now he's running 14:16.
All right. Couple more little bits. So over the ditch in New Zealand, Sam Tanner and young gun Sam Ruth, they had a dead heat at the New Zealand 1500 metre champs. Both ran 3:44.31, so it was obviously a tactical race there. But that's very rare. You often see them still trying to like separate it down to like the thousandths, but they, I think, were both awarded first. And then the other bit of information was the Lisbon half. So Ruth Chepengedich, our 209 girl, she ran 66.14 to finish second behind Siggy Gebrasalama, who ran 64.20. Now, I don't know about you guys. I've never run 209 for the marathon, but if I'm a 209 marathoner, I'm running 66 for the half every day. Well, I'm running faster than 66 minutes for the half every day of the week.
I don't know, though. What did Brett Robinson run at Melbourne?
Oh, yeah, okay. Well,
2.7 guy or 2.8 guy?
Is she just rocking up injured? Because I know she ran like 31.5 as well in Madrid for that 10K.
Yeah, Chris was there.
On New Year's Eve. And it's like, well, like, is she just like let herself go? Is she injured? Like,
I saw a tweet about this today that she did this before. I feel someone had said, no, she does this all the time. So there's been a couple of examples where she's come out and run quick marathons, and her half marathon 8 weeks before is really poor in comparison. It was on I think it was the journo. Is it Galt from Let's Run?
Let's Run, dude. Yeah. Yeah,
I reckon he was tweeting about it today. I'm just trying to find it. Yeah, I don't know if I can. It's a big guy. He's talking about the European champs. But yeah, I think it's happened in the past as well, correct? But yeah, this should be a piece of cake for her. She ran the first half and the second half quicker than that at Chicago.
Yeah, well, it's going through almost 2 minutes slower than your half marathon split, than your marathon split through halfway. Like, close.
It is common though in that training philosophy to get really out of shape, isn't it? Like have a month or 6 weeks completely off, put on a lot of weight, and then build it back and kind of peak for your next A race. And maybe she's just cashing in because she's the world record holder to go to all these other events while she's getting fit.
It is a workout.
This is part of her job. Like, this is how she makes her money, isn't it?
Yep. Those results are brought to you by Axel Coffee. Don't forget, Inside Running Podcast listeners get 20% off their first order with the code IRP20. Start your day right with Axel Coffee. Whispers, big one today. Talk about that next week. It's coming though. Another whisper, a talking point. People taking unders for a social media post. There's one brand out there at the moment hitting up every man and their dog, and I know because they hit me up and said, I will give you this if you do this and put this on your social media. And I was like, the cost of that product that you want to send me is costing your business, I'm going to say in between $2.50 and $5. And you expect me to do an Instagram post for, I don't even have that many Instagram followers. Like, I'm not saying I'm too big for this brand. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying.
I'll say that he is, Croaks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who I would say are much better on Instagram than me and much quicker runners who are giving this brand a lot of publicity for absolute stuff all. And if you do that, it devalues the whole market. People like go out there and say, oh, actually my rate to do a post is this. And they go, well, why would I give you money? Because I've got 30 other people doing this for a box of these things. Anyway, that's annoying me at the moment. And it's
why do you think they do it, Brady? Is it more to like boast about them almost being like feeling like they're a professional athlete in a way by getting given some free stuff?
Look, like getting free stuff's cool. And we get free stuff all the time. And it's like, but there's got to be a level of like when the free stuff's got a value to it. Like, what do you, if you're someone out there that's got, I don't know, in between, because micro influencers are starting to, there's another thing. Don't get me going on all the, I found this tool where you can see who the people are who have bought their followers. And in the running space, it's classic because there's people that we know and you sit there and go, how does this person have 15,000 followers or 20,000 followers? And you're just like, then you put their name into this app and it's like, their engagement level is like 10% and it shows you all the body counts that follow them. And you're like, okay, that makes sense. But I'm talking about like the micro influencer, someone who's got between, 2,000, 5,000 followers. So they've got their little niche market. They've got some kind of influence. And then they're doing a post for this product that's worth, I don't know, maybe retail $30, but it's only costing the brand $2.50, I reckon. Anyway,
we actually get hit up by that. Like we'll get hit up with proposals from, these type of what you call micro influencers, saying, hey, I'll come in, I'll do a story on the store or a post, a video, I'll reach my 1,500 followers, and this is the cost involved for that if you would like to take it.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, it's like a full-on formal proposal to get sent through.
Yeah, are they more like because we get a lot of people requesting to be interviewed on the show, especially around like charity stuff, but that's more
it's not them. No, it's not.
Are they kind of like more in the fitness and like running industry? Is it like a bit of the hit stuff or the high rocks or
a bit? They're more just like community. They're more just sort of random people in the community, like that have just decided that's something that they want to chase as part of, like, as a career option or a side hustle or something.
Yeah, okay. So put it this way. So those people are hitting you up with a legit proposal saying, this is the price to do a collab with the running company Geelong and Torquay.
Yeah.
Then you've got Olympians, people who are like, or people who own coaching businesses, Olympians, they got podcasts, whatever they do. These are some of the examples I've seen over the last few weeks, who are then going, oh yeah, I'll promote your stuff that's costing you. Like, there's no level, like, these people should be flicking that proposal stuff back to this brand and saying, oh, yep, here's my rates to do this. Yep.
I agree.
Yep, 100%. Anyway, don't take unders. That was my talking point. I didn't like how Athletes Australia stuffed up Leanne's time when they did their post about the results in Nagoya. It was up there for like 45 minutes. They had I get it, you got fat fingers, you've accidentally typed 225 when you were meant to type 224. Whole lot of people telling you in the comments you've got it wrong, which then they did delete and edit the post. But don't you just proofread it before you hit send? Like, that's your job. Like, just get that stuff right. And on Athletics Australia's like social media, I did love the young king calling out a couple of weeks ago, Croaks, because there's been discussions, heard whispers boiling away about one group gets a lot more attention on the social medias from another group, and then there may be a few pro athletes in different areas of Australia getting a bit annoyed that the governing body doesn't give them that kind of publicity that they do for one of the groups. So that annoyed me. Brett Robertson, calf tear boys, unlikely for London. This will be the third marathon in a row he'll miss. The Olympics, Valencia, and now potentially London Marathon. So that's big news if true. Hopefully he can get it right in time because that's his job. He's one of the best to ever do it from our country. It's a big race, and I'd love to see Brett Robinson on the start line for a marathon.
I don't think he'll go underdone though.
Yeah, unless there's like a massive appearance fee and he's like, he does it for his job and he's got to start the race to get paid.
I had a whisper there wasn't much appearance at all at London this year.
Mate,
Well, it's probably right.
Look at all the big dogs.
When you look, yeah, exactly. When you look at
you mean that way?
When you look at the top 15 men, top 15 women, it's like it's the best of the best. And so, you know, although Brett's run, 2:07, like compared to these other global superstars, like he's a fair way down the pecking order of appearance money, I'd imagine.
Bekele, Kipchoge, Kip Limo. I think there's another 10 of them, but like just hearing those three big names, like they ain't coming cheap to the London Marathon bank account.
Probably not much left outside 2 million there.
Yeah, really? What would it be?
Oh, all I base that off is meeting with. Remember Dave Monty?
Yeah,
we met in Berlin, 2017.
Yep.
And he goes,
New York Roadrunners.
Mo Farah keeps wanting to come to New York, but he wants $1 million to do it.
Just to start.
Just to start as appearance money. And this was when Mo Farah was winning everything. He was sort of the king at the time. Maybe it was a bit 2016. 2016 was Rio.
Yeah, but he won 2012. He won the double gold at 2012.
Yeah.
And 16, didn't he?
Yeah, I reckon this, and he wanted $1 million to go to New York.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't give it to him.
I don't know, he could have missed. He would have been exposed, I feel, there. Because when he did go to the marathon at London, he wasn't fantastic. Yeah. Did get found out a bit. He was still pretty good, though. Anyway, Moose on the loose. Over to you, Moose.
So cross-country is going to Ballarat Nationals, as well as state cross-country, obviously, to host the to get ready for it, to prepare, all that sort of thing. And I thought, this is actually pretty good. Like, Ballarat... the uni loop out at Ballarat is fucking awesome. Like, it's true cross country all through I'm not sure primary school, but definitely high school. You run the Western region cross country at Ballarat Uni. It's always harsh conditions, middle of winter sort of stuff. And you've run a cross country race. Now, we used to run sessions out there in Ballarat when we were there Saturday mornings. We would do that same loop, and it was tough running, but I feel like awesome place to run. I think they used to hold the Wall Brown, which was like a local Ballarat race out there for a while, at the uni loop before it changed. I'm not exactly sure why. But I've been telling everyone how good this will be. And then Hannah's, local fella, grew up in Ballarat. Now he runs down the coast. You met him, Brady, actually.
Yeah.
He came in today. He said, I saw that they're having it at Vic Park. And I'm like, nah, can't be right. You're going to Ballarat for cross-country. You go to the uni to do cross-country in Ballarat. And then I spent the afternoon worrying about that. Then I get home. I'm like, Google, Athletics Australia, look at the events coming up, hit National Cross, Victoria Park, Ballarat. I'm like, oh no. Then Athletics Victoria page, same thing, Victoria Park. Now, Vic Park is a bunch of flat ovals, like with asphalt roads running through them and a dirt path like the tan around the outside. Now, it is almost perfectly dead flat. There's nothing there that suggests they could get a good cross-country course out of that.
Tiny rise.
Remember
when I recapped Ballarat Marathon and I was trying to say there was a hill in there and you were like, there is no hill in there. I'm like, well, there's a tiny little rise. Like, it's not going to be a tough cross-country course.
Yeah. 3 meters over a K.
Yeah.
It's no back hill at Nowra.
Oh, mate, there's no uni loop out at the Fed Uni, which is one of the great cross-country courses. So we're going to get a course there that's dead flat, or well, pretty much dead flat, and it's going to be I'm guessing, unless they do a ton of extra stuff, like, you can dump tyres or hay bales or like dig out like a sand pit like they did at Bathurst, you're going to get a pretty docile, boring course, which I don't think we should have our national cross country on, running around a bunch of ovals or paddocks.
And because it's there for the next 3 years, will it have to stay at Vic Park for the next 3 years, or you think they could potentially move it between locations in Ballarat?
Yeah, I reckon it's just the city they can have, so they could move it for sure.
I reckon they're looking at it as convenient. Set it up once, just copy and paste the next couple of years.
It's where they have events there. They have like the big concerts there, music festivals. Then there's heaps of parking. It's closed off you can close all the roads in there.
Pretty central.
It's very convenient, but the uni's the spot, I'm telling you, for cross country.
Need to get you on the AA board, Moose, over the next 3 years.
Yeah, I don't think I'll fit in, mate. Don't think I'll fit in there. Too busy for that shit.
We need to get our man Jason Rossi. He's the big dog at Fed Uni. He could get it across the line.
Oh, yeah. Get Fed Uni involved. Start throwing your weight around Ballarat, Fed Uni. Big employer in the town. Big employer, big contributor. I reckon they could pull that. I reckon they could make that happen.
Okay. Listener question, Krugs?
Yep. So this episode's listener question is proudly brought to you by Precision Fuel and Hydration. Take your nutrition to the next level. Check out the link in the show notes for their free online planner to nail your fueling and hydration strategy, or even book a one-on-one consultation. Visit precisionhydration.com. And the question is, hi chaps, listener question. For a 3-hour marathoner running 120 to 130 kilometres per week in training and on top of 5+ years of consistent mileage, is there a limit on the number of 32+ kilometre long runs, in brackets less than 3 hours on your feet, you should do in a 12-week marathon build-up, or as long as you allow weeks to absorb the training, are not fatiguing and can still execute the Tuesday session? Is it the more the better? And that comes in from Marcus Kropacki.
Good fella, Marcus, too. I know him.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the UK over there, Bristol. Is there too many 12 weeks? It's a good question, isn't it? Because more isn't always more.
Yeah, I suppose you also look at, all right, like how far under 3 hours? Because it's like if somebody's just breaking 3 hours, their long run pace probably like close to 5-minute Ks. So 32 kilometres is what, close to 2 hours, probably over 2 hours 40. So like that's a pretty decent long run.
Time it out. I think you got to time it out. That's right.
PB is 2:55:47. Sorry, 2:58:18. That was his Strava one.
So like someone like Rob Wilson, who I coach, like will run, in that sort of 120, 130K a week. And probably in the last 12 weeks, he would have maybe 6 maximum, or probably I'd say it would be about 6 runs that are over 32K, but they're probably, the ones that are over 32 are probably more like 34 to 36. But in the weeks from like 12 to 16 out, there's a few in there that are closer between 30 and 32, because the way I sort of look at it is we start like the real marathon specific stuff probably 8 weeks or 8 or 9 weeks out. So it's essentially we have like 3 pretty big weeks. We'll have a down week where it's not 32+ K, and then probably another 3 weeks of big long runs. And then you've got your taper. So I for him, it's like generally around 6.
And it's important to note with Rob, though, he'd probably be at like 26 to 28, like easy. He'd be able to do that leading into that. Like he doesn't jump from 20 to 31 or 30.
No. So his base would be like 26 to 27, and then there'd be a period of 28 to 32 before doing the 32s.
Yeah. So you'd say 6 within that last 12 weeks.
Of over 32.
32 or over. And then you mix it up with, so you do like marathon specific on the other weekends.
Every second week.
Which might come out at 25, 30 with a warm-up cool down.
Oh, no. So his marathon specific long runs are often like 35, 36K. And then the other week, it's 2 hours 30 easy, which still gets him over 32K.
Yeah.
So it's probably about 6.
Yeah. I think that's a nice amount, because you don't want to overdo it. Like imagine just doing 35K for 12 weeks leading into a marathon. I think it's good to sprinkle the specific stuff in there.
And your last two, you're not going to be going that big. So there's only really 6 out of the last 10
Well, Izzy did. Izzy went 9 days out.
Yeah.
35, I
For
think she
over
was.
32K.
I think she was 35, 9 days out.
Oh, Jesus. I'm not sure you need that.
I'll get that right because I don't want to get that wrong. But what are your thoughts, Moose?
I think it depends on the runner's experience level. I think he says 5 years plus of consistent mileage. I think it's pretty safe to be running 2 hours 30 to 2 hours 40 most weeks. Obviously with a down week in there. The tricky thing is the second part of the question where it mentions executing the Tuesday session, because sometimes that 2.5 hours, if that's over hills, that can be a solid workout. I'd probably look to move that Tuesday if you're consistently going. 32 and 40 is very different as well. Like 32, that last 8K of that long run, that's where all the adaptations happen, but that's also where the extra stress is. So I'd be looking at 32 and 40 as being very different. You could probably run 32 pretty consistently, but if you're running 40K every week or in that last 12 weeks, that's a lot. I think you want a bit of a break from that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I find when I go, like, if it's 2.5 or like 34K plus, I need to go to the Wednesday workout.
Yeah.
Off a Sunday.
And if you're training for a marathon, prioritize the longie. Like make sure you get what your desirable long run is first before you worry about a Tuesday session, in my mind.
And make that day after so easy. Like, I was talking to Chris before. He's doing, I think, 30 minutes at 5-minute pace today off the back of a big workout.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to go slow, cut it down. The purpose of the day is to recover. If that's going for a walk for you and it's going to keep you injury free and going to be able to hit your Wednesday workout, make it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why we often do the marathon specific long runs. We often do them on the Saturday as the second session for the week, to then give a Sunday and Monday before then a Tuesday session.
Yeah, so still got the same amount of times. Yeah, Izzy on the Friday before 9 days out, 60-minute jog, 6K threshold, 20 by 1 minute on, 1 minute off, 4K strong, 15-minute cool down, 35.4K, 2 hours 17, 3:53.
How long total?
2 hours 17, 35.4K.
35.4K, 9 days. That's,
and then the next day gets out for 60 minutes at 4:26s and then rolled 90 minutes as a taper long run a week out at 4:19s.
So those 3 days you went 35, 14 and
21.5.
21. Yeah.
What's that? 50. Yeah, it's a lot of Ks.
It's not just it's not just running 35 easy though. That's like 35 hard.
Yeah, it's a pretty big workout. And it's also like, you're not giving your body a great chance to recover if you're doing 60. Mate, she did just set the fastest ever women's only marathon. But I just look at that and go, well, when do you actually recover? 60 minutes at 4:26 is still a bit, and then 90 minutes, and then you got your Monday, then you get on a plane Tuesday, and you got travel.
You know, Canova, like I always go back to what he said about recovery. He said, run the slowest pace you can without changing your gait where you become injured from the changing gait.
I love that. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been so, like, I'm frothing heart rate data at the moment. Like, how low can I get it? Like, I think I did 40 minutes today at 112 average on the treadmill. I am just in cruise control. That's good. But it feels like I'm still running. I'm not changing my gait. It's 5-minute K pace on the treadmill. It feels like it's 450s. Just enjoyable.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm just watching movies. Croaks, take us out with his read. Thanks for the question, Marcus.
Thanks to Precision Fuel and Hydration, Brady has relied on their products like the resealable 90-gram gels for his long runs and his 10 by mile sessions, and plenty of elite athletes trust them too, including Olympians and ultra runners. Visit precisionhydration.com and use the code INSIDERUN2025 for 15% off your first order.
I'm with you too, Moose. I'm getting sick of Croaks becoming a comedian on my Strava comments. I know you called him out last week and I had to beep that word you called him.
Pest.
Yeah, I'm just like,
They call him
stop it, Croaks.
it's a fucking pest.
166 likes, Brady. Must be doing something right.
What did he write this time? I remember reading it and thinking, that's not funny.
I was out there trying to honour my coach who was about to die, and then Croaks is taking the piss out of me for doing these pro races. It's just a dog of a bloke.
Just congratulate him on a stellar pro career, and hopefully the hometown hero got chaired off.
Had to do media for like half an hour after that. What about this car company come up and asked me when I was when's the Kia contract up? Sniffing around. Anyway, what's coming up? Sydney Track Classic. This is the Australian 3K champs as well, and the prince who has promised, Jude Thomas, is in action. He'll start favourite there. Jack Anstey's also come back for it. Cal Davies, Jesse Hunt, James Hansen, good field in the men's. Georgia Griffith in the women's. Sarah Billings, Nat Rule, Morty Skyring, Holly Campbell, Georgia Hansen. Georgia Hansen was up there Saturday night watching, boys. Come down for a bit of pro running. Big name in the crowd. Still can't figure out what she's doing in Bendigo. 800 metres, Pete Bol. Boys, Peyton Craig, Williams, the young fella, Jack Lunn, Hollingsworth, Caldwell, Oboya in the 800.
Good 800
Well, I
there.
would have liked to see Sarah Billings,
Both
because
of them.
she's the other one that has the qualifier, so they would have all been in the one race for World
They
Indoors.
Hey, just call it now. Make this the qualifier. Bang. I know it's a bit early. We're only in March. But
might be-
No, World Indoor Qualifier.
Oh, the indoors, yeah, sorry.
When are they though? Aren't they real soon?
I don't know.
I have to check what date that is. I reckon they're real soon, but it could be a smart thing, Sarah not running, because she is the fastest on times, I think.
Yeah, but if these girls go out even quicker, you weren't there to defend it.
Let's hope they get some good weather and they can go, like Hollingsworth could go for that time. Hollingsworth could easily get that time.
Yeah, she's not even in the conversation at the moment, is she, with the qualifiers?
21st to the 23rd of March.
Yeah.
So it's like 2 weeks away.
They must be picking the team close. Bluff to Boat Ramp is on down in Tasmania. Now Australia's richest 10K road race. Jess Stenson's down there as an ambassador. $4,000 for the win, boys. I think $2,000 second. If you scroll down a bit, you'll see the women's field and the men's field. Liam Adams headlining the men's. Jacob Cox is there. Kieran Tall. Haftu Strintos, our man. Sam Clifford, he could win that easy. Harry Norman. Will Garboletto, he broke 14 minutes at Box Hill the other night. Who else? Kale Adams, he coming back from the States. Josh Phillips, 28.41 guy. I'm going to add a guess, say there's at least 10 boys there who have broken 30
How have they ordered
minutes.
these? Wouldn't mind a little bit of like order to these lists.
And even the fonts. Why are some of their fonts different sizes? I like that Liam's at the top, even though he's not the fastest in the field, but I'm not sure how they've ordered it. It's definitely not alphabetical order either. Not sure. Women's. So this is hard for me to read because I'm not sure which names to read. But I'm going to go Rach McGuinness. She's on the top and she's a favourite of this show. Previous star, Road to Osaka. 33.37 her PB. Caitlin Adams there. Jessie's here. Maybe she is racing. It'll be a quick turnaround 2 weeks after the marathon. Isabella Hume. I'm just pulling names out of everywhere, boys. Tell me if I miss someone significant. Sarah Klein. Millie Clark. Kate Spencer. That's a name from the past. Jess Coyne. She had a good 5K the other night. So we'll be talking about those results next week. Only other thing that's coming up for me, boys, Road to Ballarat. That'll be on Patreon Thursday morning, everywhere on Friday. What's coming up in your life, boys?
Ooh, this week,
Any shoe launches, Moose? Anything coming?
shoe launch this week? Not that I know of.
That Vaporfly 4 was pretty flat, wasn't it? Not much hype. Didn't have many pairs.
Well, they just didn't have the numbers. The proto launches are so tight. They look sick. I actually put that on my foot and really liked the fit of it. I liked it more than the 3. The 3 I felt like a bit bunchy. Like the upper, it was a bit, the tongue was a bit thin, puckered. This one here I put on, I'm like, okay, we're back here. Back with Vaporfly. It's firm, it doesn't have that full-on spaceship type.
Wow factor.
Well, yeah, not even wow factor. Some shoes just don't feel like running shoes anymore. They're just so rocket and they're so aggressive that, I don't know, you feel like they're just massively sweet spotted. They just change your mechanics a lot. Whereas the Vaporfly feels like neutral under your foot.
Okay. So nothing exciting happening in your life?
Am I missing something? Should there be?
I'm just literally asking you.
No.
Okay. Croaks, anything from you? What are you doing between now and next week?
A couple of treadmill sessions. Last week, a little A's, and then fireworks Saturday night. They got big firework thing down here down by the lake called Skyfire. So.
Do you have to pay to go watch them, or the public can just rock up?
Nah, it's free.
That's good. I like that. That's episode number 384, boys. See you next week. Thanks for listening, listeners.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Thanks to the 2025 Buffalo Stampede Festival by Single Track Events for sponsoring this week's episode. Don't forget to use the promo code INSIDERUNNING10 for a 10% discount off a race entry and your chance to win one of 3 pairs of ASICS shoes. Sign up now at www.buffalostampede.au.
Just show love to everyone you meet. Doesn't matter if it don't come back.